Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Bethany, and in this video we are going to be playing around with Carissa Wiley's brand new collection that she did for Spellbinders. It's called It's My Party. I have everything from this collection. She sent this over so that I could have fun playing with all of the goodies, and I'll show you everything within this video. So we are going to play around with a few of these first little goodies that she sent over. This clear stamp set is just gorgeous and I cannot wait to play around with it. When I saw it, it stole my heart. I love this little balloon garland. I think it's so fun and I love making these for my kiddos' birthday parties, so I was really excited to see a little stamp for it. So I'm going to go ahead and place this in my mini Misty on some 80-pound cardstock, and then I am going to also be sure to prime my stamp. That way it gives a really good first impression. I'm going to use some Versamark because I do want to end up heat embossing this, but I'm also going to put some embossing powder over my paper really quickly before I stamp it down. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. I do think I stamped it twice, but it turned out really, really nice. And I'm going to add a really, really pretty gold embossing powder. I did use a fine detail gold, and as always, I'll link everything that I'm using down in the description box below. But this turns out so pretty. I can see using this stamp over and over again and just switching out my colors. I love the idea of having a stamp set that I can use over and over again. All right, now I'm going to use my heat tool to melt my embossing powder, and it turns out so pretty. I love that soft gold color. Okay, I'm grabbing some colors from the stamp market. I'll list them all down below, and I'm showing all of the stencils here. We are going to be doing 4 stencils, which means I'm going to need a 4th ink color, which you see I added that tropic teal right to my color choices, and it ends up being really, really fun. So I'm going to use some heavy doodle masking tape to go ahead and mask any of the areas that I want to protect from getting ink on them. It's so super important. I do end up using a lot of this, but you can reuse it, and it's better to make sure that you protect your areas than ruin your project. So the first color I'm going to be using is this bubble gum. It's so, so pretty. I went ahead and grabbed a little tap off paper to keep to my left. That way I make sure I can tap up a little bit of that initial ink. That way I can come in nice and light. And I grabbed one of these waffle flower blending brushes that's a little bit smaller so I could add a little bit of detail. But I'm keeping my color a little bit darker towards the bottom of my little balloons and then having it be a little lighter towards the top. I'm moving on to my second color, which is a blush pink. This is so pretty. So I grabbed the second stencil and I'm going with the same method that I did the first color. So a little bit darker on the bottom and then fading it out on the top. I really, really like this color combination of these 4 colors, and I'm going to end up using these 4 colors throughout all 3 cards that I'm going to make in this video. It's a really nice color combination. The next color is gorgeous. It's called Citrine. It comes in really, really heavy, so know that going in. So I tapped off quite a bit, but it's such a pretty color. I love it with all of these other colors together. I think that this color combination might be one of my new favorites. Oh, that reveal is always so pretty. I love how that turned out. My 4th and final color is going to be that pretty tropic teal, again masking off all of my areas to make sure I protect any area, but I'm actually in the end going to trim this little balloon garland out, so I guess I really didn't need to mask as much as I thought, but originally I thought I was just going to use this as my panel, so I made sure to protect it and keep it all nice and clean. Now you can see there that I forgot to melt a little bit of my embossing powder, so I'm going to go ahead and come back in with my heat tool and just melt it really quickly, and it's all fixed. This turned out really, really pretty. So I am not a fan of fussy cutting, but I had a vision here and I really wanted to see it through, so I'm going to grab my fine detail scissors. I'll link them down below. They're really, really nice to have. And I'm going to just go ahead and cut this out really gently. I really like how this turned out. I'm going to grab another piece of 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to trim this panel down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. I just like my panel to be a little bit smaller than my card base. And I'm going to also grab these really nice oval nesting dies. These are also new to Spellbinders. They sent them over to me. They're not a part of Carissa's collection, but they're a new product by Spellbinders. And I love this because I feel like you can use this beautiful nesting collection over and over again. And I was inspired to use it with this first card. So I wanted to give my card panel just a little bit more color. So I'm grabbing that blush pink once more, and I'm kind of fading it towards the top, being a little bit heavier on the bottom. I'm gonna grab some really thin foam tape from Simon Says Stamp. I really like this because it's not too thick. It gives just enough dimension without making the card too bulky, and it was a perfect choice for this project. I'm going to add that open oval layer right over my little blended layer, and I love that pop of color. It's nice and subtle, but it's there, and I think it really makes a difference on this card. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach that balloon garland to the top with that thin foam tape once more. I think this turns out so pretty, and I love this pop of color. I love how those inks dry, and this color combination is just so fun and happy. And then we're going to bring out the Glimmer Machine by Spellbinders, and I want to go ahead and hot foil some of these sentiments. So I grabbed a couple of the collections, and I'm going to grab a few of the sentiments because I know since I'm making 3 cards in this video, I know I'm going to use them on each of the cards, so I'm going to go ahead and just foil them all at the same time. So I'm getting everything all lined up. Then I'm going to grab some of this pretty gold foil. Isn't this so pretty? I'm just going to trim it down. You want to trim it down just enough so that you don't have too much foil, so you don't get any over foiling. But I'm going to add my foil right over my little hot plates, and then I'm going to add this beautiful foiling cardstock that I like to use. I'll be sure to link it down below as well. I'm going to add that thin shim, and then I'm going to add one more layer. And you're supposed to actually press the timer button here, but I don't do that, and I'll share why in a little bit. So right now I'll actually just remove it from the base, and this is when I'm going to take it over to my Spellbinders Platinum 6, and I'll run it through there. So just getting everything situated just so, grabbing my Spellbinders Platinum 6, and you'll see that I'm going to go really slowly here. I want to make sure that I give each section just enough time to foil. If you go too fast, then you can just risk having an uneven foil or it not taking quite as ideally. So I just take my time here, and it's always worked really, really well for me. Okay, here is the final reveal. I think it turns out really, really pretty, but you let me know too. So I'm going to peel this off really, really quickly. It's so nice, but I do notice just a teeny tiny bit of overfoiling. Not a big deal because you can use a mono sand eraser to quickly remedy that. Always just keep that close by because it actually just makes foiling a lot simpler when you can take a lot of the pressure off. Okay, grabbing those really nice coordinating dies, I'm going to cut all of these little sentiments out. I went ahead and grabbed Pop Clink Fizz. I think that is such a cute little sentiment, and I'm going to add a little bit of foam to the back with these foam squares. Grabbing my tweezers to just make sure I get a really nice placement. I like using the tweezers because it takes a lot of the fingers out of your line of sight, so you can just really visualize where you're going to place something. Grabbing my Score Buddy, I'll do a top folding A2 size card, and there we have it. Isn't that so pretty? I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back, and I'm going to place my panel right on the front of my card. I love how this turned out. I think this is so, so pretty, but I do want to add just a little bit of shine, and I know the perfect sequins that will work great for this. This is also a Spellbinders sequins that I really like. I forgot the name of it, but I'll be sure to link it down below. It is so pretty, and I love the soft colors. It's kind of got a really nice holographic pastel look to it, and I think it really lends well with the inks that I chose for this card. Okay, moving on to card number 2, I'm going to go ahead and start with some foiling. I'm grabbing this circle foil plate, and I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that I get it all taped into place. That way I know where it is on the panel because I want it to be centered really nicely on my panel here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that over, and then I will add all of my layers with that thin shim, one more layer, and I'll remove it from the base. Again, not pressing that timer button. I'm going to do it my way, the way I prefer, but I'm going to do the timer later in the video and show you the difference. Okay, rolling that through again really slowly through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 and making sure that I give each of the areas equal amount of time to really press into the paper and get a really nice foiled result. Then I'm going to remove my foil. It kind of self-removed itself here, being careful not to burn my fingers. And I had a tad bit of overfoiling, but again, the pressure is off because the Mono Sand eraser fixes it in seconds, so it doesn't intimidate me at all. Then I'm going to grab this little inside circle die. It cuts out the inside because now I want to run in the shaker card direction with this card. I think this will be really, really fun. Go ahead and cut that out, and then I have a nice little opening for my shaker. Now I should have trimmed this down before I did my foiling, but I didn't, which is fine. What I'm going to do now is just grab my mini trimmer, and I'm simply going to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side, and that's going to leave me with a panel that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, which is just a hair under that A2 size, which I really, really like for my card panels. Okay, I'm going to create a little template here. So I'm going to grab a pencil, and I'm taking that hot foil plate die just because I want to know the exact opening that I have, and I'm going to give myself a little area that I need to focus on when ink blending. I'm going to grab that same color combination that I have. Using the bubble gum first, I'm going to bring in a really pretty pink up in that top left. I didn't quite tap off enough and I got a little blotch, but don't panic, because while it looks a little crazy right now, it always ends up working out. And in the end, you won't notice it one bit. At least I didn't. I'm going to move on to the blush pink and add a really pretty blend by adding that blush right to the middle. And then I just go back and forth with my blender brushes to make sure I get a really nice transition there. And then I also added that citrine color, but I must have not placed that in the video. So then I'm going to grab a really nice piece of acetate trim down, and that is going to just glue on the back side of my foiled circle. That way I can create a little window. Now is the important part with your foam tape. You are going to make sure that you have everything closed. You're going to create a little gate so that your sequins doesn't fall out. I grabbed this 3M foam tape because it's a little thicker, and I ended up doubling it up one on top of another just so that it was really nice and thick in there and gave my sequins area to move around. Okay, this is the part where I kind of keep changing my mind with how I'm going to attach this. I went ahead and grabbed my score buddy, and I thought I'd place my sequins down and then just add my little shaker opening to the top. I kept trying over and over again, and I finally just decided to flip it all around. I'm going to try and do it the other way. So now I'm going to take my little shaker bits, and I'm going to just place them inside of my shaker right on that acetate, and I'm going to try to add that back panel to the front. I struggled with this. I find that sometimes this is super easy for me, sometimes it's not, but now my fingers are getting all sticky and it's just a mess. But finally, I just get brave and know that if I am not quite even, I'll just trim it down. It'll be just fine. In the end, it worked out really, really nice. I did end up trimming a little bit off the sides, but it ended up working out pretty well. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and just place the little shaker panel right onto my card base. And again, it's trimmed down to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. So it's just a tad smaller than my card base, which I really, really love. Now I'm going back to my Glimmer Hot Foil System. I'm doing a lot of hot foiling in this video, and I love this because I don't use my Glimmer plates that often, and I think that it's a really fun way to get practice when you can do it over and over again. I'm going to grab some of that leftover foil that I used earlier. Make sure you save that because you can use it over and over again, all those pieces that haven't been foiled, that is. And I'm just going to use that middle part to go ahead and get some of these little balloon stems, if you will. Now I'm going to add my little sandwich once more, and I can't remember, is this the time where I actually press the timer? Yep, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try out testing the timer button. All right, when I reveal it, I actually notice that I have much more overfoiling than I do when I don't press the timer. So I am actually going to stick with the way that I like to do it, which is just placing all of my little hot foil plates onto the machine while it's heating up, place everything in place, and then once it's ready to go, run it through my machine. Everyone has a different way of doing things like this, so always do what works best for you in your workflow and what gives you the best results. Now I'm just going to attach that little balloon piece to the bottom of my balloon. I think that turns out really, really cute. I love all of the little elements that Carissa placed within this collection. I think it's just genius. Then I went ahead and I have another little pretty piece in that tropic teal. I have a smaller circle that has a just nice small blend on it. It turned out really, really pretty just to add a little bit of visual interest. And I'm going to grab one of those sentiments that I originally foiled at the beginning of the video. I love this It's Party Time. I think that's so sweet. And again, I'm finishing it off with that pretty sequins. I love bringing in some, or bringing out really, some of that sequins that I use inside of the shaker to the outside of the card. I think it's just really fun. There is card number 2. I think it's so pretty. I love all of the shine. I love all of the elements that brought this card together, and I think it turns out really sweet. All right, moving on to our third and final card. We're going to do a little bit of hot foiling to begin this card. Again, I'm repeating all of my steps, but I'm not pressing the timer button because I find that it works better for me if I just skip that step. And here is the pretty little collection that we're going to base this next card off of. Isn't this also pretty? Much better with my foiling results there. Okay, I'm using those same inks once more, but we're going to bring these stencils in. These stencils are so fun, and they have these little half circles here that you can use to mask off. And I think this is really, really helpful because it makes adding different little stenciled portions to this little image so easy. So I'm going to be masking off quite a bit, again, just to protect the paper that surrounds it. But once again, I do end up trimming this down with a die, so I guess I can be a tad less careful, but I always edge on the side of being just a tad more careful than I need to be. I'm going to start with that citrine color. It's so, so pretty. It comes in really bold right away, so you don't need a lot of it, but it's so, so pretty. I just love the tone of this. It's kind of a green, kind of a yellow, and I just really, really like it. It works really well with this beautiful color combo. All right, I'm going to reveal that pretty stencil. Isn't that pretty? I went ahead and went a little bit heavier on the bottom and then kind of faded it towards the top, and I like how that looks. Again, adding that little half circle just to mask off one of the other balloons while I work on the second balloon, and I'm grabbing a different design for the second balloon, and I'm going to use the blush pink to bring this to life. This is such a pretty color. I love this one. Now, opposite of citrine, this one doesn't come in too bold right away, so I tend to layer this quite a bit to get the desired color, but it's such a pretty color. I love how this turned out. There's the reveal of the second stencil, again fading it a little lighter towards the top. And then for this final balloon, I'm actually going to do a little trio. This comes in a set of 3, and you can layer them one on top of another just to make a really, really colorful look. So I'm going to start with that tropic teal. I'm going to add that beautiful, beautiful, more greenish blue to do my little first layer. I'm going to grab the second part of that stencil, and I'm going to use the citrine color to bring this to life. I really love how this turns out. It's so pretty. It just ties it all together. And then I'm going to grab that third and final layer, position it just how I'd like, and then I'm going to bring in this really pretty pink. Okay, I think this one's called Bubblegum. I can't remember, but again, everything will be linked down below. This is going to be my final balloon. I think it's so, so cute. I really love how this ended up rounding out the little trio. So, so pretty. Now I'm grabbing the coordinating die, and I'm going to go ahead and trim this little trio of balloons out. Now I'm grabbing another panel. I'm going to do just a little bit of, I don't know, shadowing, if you will, bringing just some color and some interest to this panel. And I wanted to kind of just glow behind these balloons. Now, one of Carissa's little cards that she did as examples, it kind of had a really fun background, kind of a subtle little glow look to it, and I really liked how that turned out, so I went ahead and kind of ran in that direction too with my card because I think it's just so, so pretty and added a lot of visual interest. Bringing in some foam squares, that way I can add a little bit of dimension with these 3 balloons, and I'm just going to attach this. Look at that glow. I think it's so pretty. It's very subtle, but it's there, and I just think it adds a little bit of something to this card. So, so pretty. Now I'm just going to grab a simple set of tweezers. I'm going to use my glue and add the little stems here. Again, I was inspired by one of Carissa's cards and how she had all of these little balloon strings just kind of cleanly placed down, really perpendicular to one another. I thought that look was so pretty, so I was really inspired with that as well. Okay, that third and final one is in place. I think this is super, super sweet. And I'm going to grab our final sentiment. I decided on the for you for this. I really think it's a really fun and universal sentiment, and you could really use this card for a variety of occasions. And of course, I'm going to round this card out with some beautiful sequins. I love that final look. That sequins really, really went well with this color combination of inks. I love it so much. And there's the final little trio of cards. I love how all of these turned out. I'm really thankful that Carissa sent over her beautiful collection for me to play with. Be sure to check out everything I have linked below. Let me know which one was your favorite, and I can't wait to continue crafting with you in the next video.